Here.
Megan Rockwell, Dennis Ryu,
Here.
Chuck Neff.
Here. Okay. Pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
See no one from the public here. Do we have any correspondence?
Nobody writes me, nobody calls me.
Aw, I don't want you to feel bad.
I know.
Approval of meeting minutes, July 25th. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
I will
Is
second
that
it.
Sean?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll
Second it. Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Unanimous. Moving right along. You have the plans for the North End School. I'm sorry, I made a quick mistake today when it came through. I said, okay, there's the Norton plans, and I sent them out, and then looked and said, no, those weren't the Norton plans.
Those were just a reissue of the north end. There were some minor header footer or footer issues, as well as a couple of additional sections that did not
So it's
get
just in the
volume two.
manual.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so we
so-
reissued, rather than wait for comments, we figured we'd be proactive and reissue
those
the
out.
project manual.
So if you do have comments or any questions or anything like that from committee members, please forward those to me by the 13th of August. I did get several from Dennis, I got one from Chris, and I'll put together anything that we get and forward that to the architects. I had checked with Justin, said he didn't want them in piecemeal, he'd prefer to have them all together. If you don't have anything, you don't have anything. I've gone through and looked, and I haven't seen anything that I commented on yet, but
You need comments by when?
the 13th of August, it's on the agenda there. And then the North End, or the Norton plan should be in within the next day.
I spoke to my team before I left for the meeting. They were just going through, making sure that our list of drawings aligned with our consultant's drawings, giving a once-over of the documents at this point. So
Yeah.
I anticipate getting a notification while we're at this meeting, but they're forthcoming.
And we'll get those out to you, and again, if you have feedback on those, I'd like that feedback by August 30th. And then we are off and running. That's all I have for Chairman's report. Financial procedures, invoices. Rich?
We actually have 7 this time.
All right. First one is commissioning services for Dan Zelm Engineers for the Norton School, $937.50. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to accept it.
Second?
I'll second.
Second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? And it's unanimous. To Tecton Architects, again for Norton Elementary, $112,708. Do I have a motion? Chris, second? Jeff? Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? And again, unanimous. O&G Industries for Norton Elementary, $10,324. Again, do I have a motion?
Sure.
Greg,
Yes.
second? Dennis? Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Unanimous again. Arcadis, $4,134.62, again for Norton Elementary School. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Second.
Stuff done.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Again, unanimous. The North End Elementary Architectural Services for Tecton Architects, $138,928.23.
Motion.
Chris, second? Dennis? Any discussion?
Like this invoice column doesn't match the total.
Oh, it's on the second page. Second page.
Yep.
Within the reimbursable, allotment, we had the printing of the documents for the AHJs. And I believe that receipt is part of the packet.
Okay,
But that's just that's this invoice from ARP?
Yeah, plus the markup.
Ah. Oh, there's a markup.
you okay, Chuck?
That's mileage.
And mileage.
So there is no markup.
No.
Right.
That makes sense to me.
Got it.
Got it? You're all set? Okay, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Unanimous. O&G Industries for the North End Elementary, $10,324. Do I have a motion? So Jeff, second?
Second.
Dennis? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Did you, Chuck? Okay, yep, unanimous. And last, Arcadis for North End Elementary, $9,959.12. Motion? Do I have a motion?
Sure.
Dennis, second?
I'll second.
A second. Any discussion?
I
I
just
got
have
a question. Oh,
question.
go ahead.
It's pennies, it's trivial, but there's the cost of vests and hard hats in here, is that not, what's that for? It's not like you guys don't have
well,
hard hats that you?
We do, but for, we usually stock up for every project just so that we have them for visitors that come into the trailer.
For us.
Out of my own, so you can
Okay.
take some money off.
Anything else? Chuck, did you have something?
That was the same thing.
That was-
I didn't know why it was on both.
Okay.
But it makes sense if you put them in the trailer.
Yep.
I'm pro safety.
Seeing no other questions, all those in favor? And it's unanimous. No change orders?
There are no change orders.
Okay.
Cooking right along.
CMRS Phase 1 construction update and schedule update.
You wanna talk about phase 4? You want
Yeah,
me to?
I can quickly just talk about where we're heading with both North and Norton on the phase 1 work. So over at North first,
It's okay.
the erosion control perimeter fencing has been installed. I started stripping topsoil up there now, stockpiling that on site. They're starting with the temporary construction fence that's going to go around the site, so they started erecting that. And right now they're just kind of moving the material around and then their feet wet, their feet dirty out there. So, but making pretty good progress.
I did take a couple pictures and a little video and put them on our Facebook page if you please.
Over at Norton, again, the erosion control has been established around the perimeter. The tree removal is pretty much complete now out to Sharon Drive. So if you walk out there, you can actually walk out to Sharon. They still have some logs out there they have to remove from the site, but for the most part, the tree work is done now. The temporary road behind the school is boxed out and ready for pavement. The temporary playground is pretty much cleared now. And yeah, that's really about it. Things are moving along.
So they have to move the fencing around that area.
They do. We just had the submittals approved, I think yesterday, or the day before, on the temporary fence, or the fence that will be going around the playscape, as well as the playscape material. So that's been approved, and material's probably on order
Great.
as we speak, so.
Any questions or anything?
It's-
Yeah,
John.
Chuck?
There's an email that went around about like the house that was up there, and there was materials that may need to be moved, and they weren't moved in time, and it was gonna be a change order. What happened with that?
They were taken care of by the site contractor, there was no additional cost.
Okay.
Is this at the north end you're talking?
No, this is at North.
And Norm.
Yeah, so there was an email, I think I copied you, but I also
It was
copied
in-
Dennis.
In the garage?
No, they were kind of sitting in the back, there were like piles of bricks.
Oh.
There was
Oh,
some
yeah,
branches that were
okay.
cut down, things like that, so, Ryan Benoit
Yeah, I
actually.
think that only went to you guys and me
Right.
because of
Yeah, I
Oh, yeah,
possible change order.
yeah.
So you're saying if it didn't
Change
get
order
done at a
done.
certain point, we would need to do a change
So-
order?
Yeah, the certain
Yeah.
point was like the next day, that we
was-
never got an email back, but.
We never got an email, I checked with DPW and it was taken care of,
So
so.
the town came in and did it, right?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so there were bricks there and some things like that that needed to get moved. Yeah, so that area is not completely clear, it looks great if you drive by there.
Is it edible?
Yep.
A lot of heavy lifting got moved.
And there's, you wanna talk about the complaints, or you want me to, just to let everybody know?
Yeah, so I can let everybody know, so, last week, right? This week or last week? Last weekend this week, actually. So, last week it started with the North End project when they, the site guys were out there and they were installing the fencing, but they were also doing some, they were doing the anti-tracking pads that were coming in from Jarvis Road. So they had a very large vibratory roller out there. Some of the neighbors complained that their foundations were shaking and they were concerned that things were gonna fall off shelves and things like that, so. I think it was Bruce that went over and
Yeah,
talked with
yeah.
with the neighbors and, you know, seemed to have settled everybody down, so I think, so that was good. And then this week, I got a call from, yeah, that's right, those went to the town manager's office. This week I got it
I
from.
talked to both of them twice, but yeah,
Okay.
all good. They're
And then
fine.
this week it was Public Works that called and said that the same thing was happening over at Norton. So they were probably doing the same thing, installing anti-tracking pads, and they had the same piece of equipment. So I think Bruce actually talked to the neighbor again
Yeah.
and got everything straightened out, so,
Yeah, Bruce is our site superintendent that's out there.
yeah.
And
We
we
had
had-
said we wanted to get his number posted, so that people will call him directly and not have to be going through the town or through the superintendent or whatever.
I think the other complaint too was that there were portalets that were right on Jarvis that were kind of facing the neighbors' houses, so.
They were on Marion,
On Marion, oh, okay, all right.
but they were moved. Yeah,
They
moved
were
the next
moved,
morning,
yeah. Ryan said that he was gonna either put them behind the trees or park.
Yeah, I
pieces
don't
of
know where they
equipment in
moved them,
front
cause I didn't, next day I went out there, I couldn't find them, so.
Yeah.
They're hidden somewhere.
Sort of defeats the purpose.
It does, yeah.
They basically have a staging area down now around the corner next to the house.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And they're down below.
Yeah, the ones on Marion were just like right as you crested the hill and like right on the street, so everyone saw it, and then one particular neighbor was worried it would smell and things, but all
We
is good
definitely
now.
want to to communicate to the community that we're, you know, very aware of their needs.
Good
We
neighbors.
wanna- Yeah. that's a good neighbor.
Yeah, so we did talk earlier this week that when we start phase two, that we will do that full good neighbor policy flyer that
Yeah.
Arcadis and ONG will put together, and then we'll go, you know, door to door and pass those out, and I'll have the superintendent, the project manager's name.
Yeah, Ryan
phone
was great,
numbers.
by the way, Ryan was super responsive, and I got his card from when he came to my office the first time to pick up the contracts, but
Yeah.
I called him 3 or 4 times and he took care of all of them, so.
Okay. He is on vacation this week, so, you know, if you are looking for him, if he doesn't respond.
They solved it all last
but-
week, so. I unplugged my phone after that.
Would you also, from us, please thank Ben and his crew for the work they did, taking down the garage and cleaning up that area? That
Yeah, it
was
looks really great.
wonderful, yeah, thank you very
The
much.
timing worked out just perfectly.
So is there an expectation that when we get to site work on these projects and start putting the driveways in, that they're gonna use the same type of roller? And the neighbors might feel it again, but we may wanna give them a heads up to say, hey, be aware.
There will be that type
In
of-
a couple months, you're gonna, you know, whenever, we wanna put that on our list of things to notify people in advance of, to say, you might hear a
Yeah,
little
rather than
vibrating. It's
reacting after the
no
fact.
different than a helicopter flying overhead, don't worry about it, or whatever, however you wanna describe it.
Yeah.
It would be good to get ahead of that, rather than we know it's gonna happen again.
All right, so then the regular schedule update, so starting on page 1, just recording that we actually did get started on both sites for phase 1, that was a milestone that was met. Flipping over to page 2, we're just in the very, very early beginnings of the structural steel pre-detailing effort. The pre-detailer is starting to work on North End. There's been some communications between our detailer and the structural engineer, so there'll be, there'll start to be meetings, coordination meetings, so that they can go through that process. And once they get through North End, they'll be working on Norton. And then we have for North End, now we are in all these reviews, so we received the North End documents, our estimators, all the estimators are working on it, Tecton's estimator as well. We're doing our constructability review. Sherbersteig is working, we've got the commissioning agent, so everybody's basically got a month to get through their reviews. Owner review, structural peer review, so all these reviews are going on. And then, you know, we kind of put a tentative target of the 22nd, just to give Tecton time to adjust whatever they need to do for the CDs. We'll also be doing a construction document estimate reconciliation, and we have targeted that for August 27th to be doing a reconciliation meeting. And they are planning on, both estimators are planning on being done by the 22nd. Then they'll switch, they'll share their estimates with each other, take a couple of days just to do a comparison, and then the first meeting is on the 27th. And then, I didn't get to Obi yet, but Rich did a great job at getting us on track with the meetings getting scheduled. So our next meeting I've highlighted there is September 12th, and I did see Jeff on the Board of Ed calendar. It is a joint meeting, September 12th. Is that gonna be at that other building again, Humiston?
Yeah.
That's what it says on the calendar?
Has to
Yes.
be, we're not gonna fit everybody here.
We need the extra
Okay.
space, can't fit in here.
All right, so I guess we'll get to it when Tecton's talking about the discussion of the North End 90% plans, but knowing that you guys are gonna need to take action on the 12th, we probably need to come up with a deliverable date. What the date is for you guys to receive the cost estimate and the plans ahead of this meeting so that everybody's comfortable with it. But we can get to it when we get down to their side, but we probably should put like a soft deadline in there of when the documents are gonna be sent over to
We
you
have a meeting
guys.
on the 22nd of August.
That's too early,
Okay.
has to be after Labor
There's
Day.
the 29th and there's the 5th. We don't have meetings scheduled, either one of those. But we might have to set up a meeting for that one item then.
Isn't it just to like send the documents over?
Just to send them to you ahead of time so that you're not being surprised in the meeting.
So the meeting on the 12th, that we'll like vote on it with the Board of Ed, we just need them like,
Well, the only thing I'm thinking is, what if the estimates come in showing that we need to make further changes?
Well, we'll be dealing with that earlier, that we're not gonna wait till the end to deal with.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. Will we have those estimates in time for us to take a look at them for our meeting on,
The 22nd
The
is just when
22nd.
that's when the raw data's coming in, and you know everybody's gonna be all over the place. So that's just when both estimators will be done, and they haven't even talked yet, so.
Right, so in a perfect world, the estimates come in, they show that we're right on target. We can go into the meeting in September, the joint meeting, and we're all set to look for joint approval. Under another scenario, the estimates come in, we're over budget. We need to be taking a look at how we're going to bring the project within budget, and therefore we need to have a meeting before that September meeting
Yeah,
to do that.
I'm thinking the Thursday of the Labor Day week,
That would be the 5th.
yeah.
Yeah, we could do a
Right, because we
meeting.
wouldn't be ready for the week before, because we will just have our reconciliation
right.
meeting on the 27th, which is Tuesday, so we won't have, nobody will put their thoughts together. So,
So
yeah, the week before, the Thursday before the 12th, if there's a problem.
If there's a problem, if there's a
We
problem.
have a 7:30 board meeting that night. It's the opening schools meeting, so if we could do this meeting at like, 6 o'clock or something, that would be helpful.
why can't we just do it the same day of the already scheduled meeting and do it before the joint part of the meeting? So all we're doing is saying, scratch this, keep that, don't keep that, or whatever, and you get to a bottom line, you know?
It's a possibility. We could have
Maybe we have our meeting start at, whatever, 6, and the
We
joint
could do a
starts at
meeting at like
7:30,
6
that is what it
o'clock.
is.
Assuming that, as we've done in the past, there would be a list of potential changes that would bring us within budget, and we'd make those decisions. And then we would go right into our joint meeting to approve the projects. What is your preference, people?
I have to be out of town on the 12th. So,
I'm not available the 12th either. Doesn't mean you can't make decisions without.
Right.
Yeah, well, we have a meeting scheduled for the 12th, that's our joint meeting with the board.
Right.
That's our regular
I
meeting,
won't be
yeah.
here.
I mean, can we shoot to have the document and everything to us on the fifth, so we can all look at it, like the week ahead of time, and then we're coming to the meeting on the 12th, knowing what we wanna do?
Is that gonna work for Justin? Is that gonna work for your team to be done on the 5th with the 90% for the, these are actually the PCR set?
Well, I think what we're discussing is, you know, if there are any decisions that need to be made for, with respect to the budget, right?
Right.
Just so that there's a comfort level. You know, what we don't wanna do is start a joint meeting and, lob a grenade into the middle of the table.
That would be my concern, and I'm not as concerned about the north end, because we have had some flexibility there. But when we look at the Norton project, that one has always been much tighter. So we probably won't have, I don't think, a major issue for this upcoming meeting on the 12th. When we get to the meeting on the 26th, though, for Norton, we may very well have to be taking a hard look. We've already, you know, made some tough decisions there. So when would we be getting the estimates in? What's the date that we would have estimates?
I would say we're probably, if we're gonna start reconciling on the 27th, I would say the Tuesday after Labor Day, Tuesday or the Wednesday, we would probably be done.
So that's the 3rd or 4th.
Yeah.
So, and then if we are running into a budget issue, you people have to have some time to take a look.
Well,
To come up
that
with-
is
That's
accounted
gonna be
for.
done, yeah, during that,
That's
during that
accounted
time.
for.
Right. So if need be, we potentially, well, you know, I have to have at least a day's notice before we could have a meeting, so if need be, we'd have to do the 5th. Otherwise, you know, we could do it on another day, or as Chuck recommends, we could just do a meeting earlier at 6 o'clock on the 12th, and then go into a 7 o'clock meeting before that.
Alright, so tentative 5th, depending on how the numbers come in.
Very
Or some other
tentative, I
date.
think it's more likely we'll end up doing what Chuck is suggesting.
If you even
I
need
think-
to.
Well, I think we need the stuff on the 5th, either way. So if we have to have a meeting, we gotta have the stuff
6th.
by the 5th.
What about the Friday?
How about the Thursday, the 5th? That's a week before.
Are you guys gonna be all set with your 90%, or, I keep saying 90%, this is the PCR set, this is what they need to
Yeah.
review and approve.
Yeah, I mean, we need to get information to OGA, you know, a number of days before our actual meeting, and since our meeting is, what, the
18th,
18th?
it's after their meeting's on the 12th. They're asking for it a whole week in advance, the documents.
And we just want the reconciliation, you said you were.
just
Oh,
the
you're
estimate.
talking,
Just the reconciliation.
oh,
stuff,
you just
so we
want the
know.
estimate?
Yeah, so we know how far off we
you
are
know
and what we have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, the estimate and any
Oh, the estimate you
recommendations for
just get by the
changes.
5th.
I don't know, for plans, just
Yeah.
a,
Yeah.
you don't
here's a
I
suggested
I was
PE
asking about
items.
the documents.
No, just in case we need to make adjustments.
Yep.
We wanna get that information in hand, and
Yeah.
are we okay doing then a meeting, if need be, earlier on the 12th to make any decisions about changes that would have to be made to the program?
Yeah.
Okay, does that sound all right?
Okay, so I'm back
So
on the
that's what-
question, when do you guys need documents that you're gonna be approving on the Thursday, the 12th, which is not only the estimate, but the documents? Do you guys need to see that, how far in advance? You need the whole set of plans and specs? Is it the Friday, is it the Monday?
At least a day before.
It's only,
A
what,
lot of documents.
several
Yeah.
thousand pages.
Yeah, I mean,
I think we've got the
Friday.
90% set, we're going through that. I don't know how much detail people are gonna go into beyond that. Do you,
so,
Can you
Well,
approve a set of documents?
If the comments are addressed, that's the only thing I'm gonna be checking.
yeah,
I'm gonna assume that
so if you
the
have,
rest of it is correct.
so if you have those several days ahead, you're okay.
Couple
Yeah,
days is
Monday,
fine.
Monday? Okay.
But if we have
When are we-
value management, I'm sorry,
Okay.
if we have value management changes that we wanna make, or we're not gonna have whatever, or we, because we can't afford it, then would we be able to approve a set of plans at the same meeting, of it just
Contingent
Contingent.
upon those changes or revisions.
Right.
as long as we could do that, yeah.
So we would approve the plans with the following amendments.
Wasn't sure we could do that, okay.
Yep. All right, so, just to reiterate
Can we
again.
walk through the dates yet?
Just,
Estimates due the 5th, right?
So the estimate will come out by the 5th, along with any recommended reductions that we might have to make, if need be. Hopefully there won't be any. The plans we will receive by the 9th. And then,
What date is the 9th?
the 9th is Monday.
Is that good with you guys?
Monday the 9th?
Can you clarify? Friday, a minute ago.
When are we getting all of the comments from all the different reviews? On the 22nd?
That's the goal, yes. Well, for Stieg, who matters, not that you guys don't matter, but for Stieg and the structural engineer, the structural peer review, they're on for these dates, right?
Correct.
So that's the 22nd.
Isn't there like a?
That's a Thursday,
Labor Day is the second.
second.
Yeah, Labor Day is the 2nd.
Yeah. By the night.
Okay, so that's delivering the plans and the specs that have to have our front end in it, the whole package.
When are you gonna get us your front?
That
end?
I'm gonna get you before Labor Day. I'm gonna be done by the end of this month.
The only thing that is the wild card in there is if there are, pending the cost estimate, if there are additional alternates, additional things that need to be, if we're making decisions on the 5th, we're pretty good, but we're, depending on, I don't know if we're that good to turn around any potential significant comments in a day to get updated into a set.
Well, we're not making decisions on the 5th.
We're, if there's reductions that need to be made, we're going to do that at an earlier meeting on the 12th. So we would come together like at 6 o'clock on the 12th.
Yeah.
We might make reductions, we would then approve the plans with the Board of Ed at that meeting, with the following changes. And then you would have to make the changes to the plans after the fact. Does that work for you?
I'm not sure that the form that, and the vote that they have to take is on the set that, like, I don't know if you can make it contingent upon X, Y, and Z.
Well, that's what Chris had asked, whether,
Yeah.
That state form is pretty, like, you're voting on a set that has a date on it.
And the estimate needs to
Oftentimes
be-
it changes because of all these things,
so if there's changes that have to be made, it has to be done earlier.
You could do them by addendum.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind, when's the PCR for this? I don't
The
see.
18th, the 18th.
Of September, so
Mhm.
there likely will be, I'm sure, some kind of comment from Barbara that she wants, something bolded or something, something on there that we're gonna have to change anyway, so.
Yeah.
I guess we can do it then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, the
If
key
it
thing.
doesn't work, we can do an emergency meeting like on the 5th.
So the key things to think of when we're going to the state, ultimately, the vote that occurs at the BOE and the NGSBC, it gets dated and signed on a form that's called the SCG 042. And that's the request for final review of the plans. That's also the signature page that the building official, fire marshal, ADA coordinator, and health department all sign. So the things that always get checked is the estimate dated after the documents, and are the votes dated after both the documents and the estimate. If we're representing, if your vote is on the 12th and our documents are dated September 19th, then they're gonna say, hold up, what was the vote? Why are these documents being dated differently? So we just need to make sure that, we're maintaining order. And all
Would
of
you
that.
prefer that we then have a meeting on the 5th if need be?
My
Yeah.
recommendation, and this is only a recommendation, you guys can take it or leave it, is to schedule a meeting for the 5th with a special meeting for the 5th with the understanding that if everything looks good at the estimate, we can cancel the meeting on the 5th.
What does everything looks good mean though? That's zero,
On budget.
zero changes whatsoever?
On budget and no requirement for this committee to make decisions on scope or cost. So,
Which we've basically been there for the North End School.
Well, Warren, last time we had like a whole sheet that we went through and we picked ABC out of it, no?
The first time we had some changes, the second time we were a couple $1 million.
We were under.
in the
We were
black.
under budget.
Yeah,
For the, for North.
So the likelihood seems limited, but
but Norton, we've had to make changes both times.
I think having a meeting on the 5th, just hanging out there in case we need it, makes a lot of
Put
sense.
it on the calendar.
Is there anyone who could not make a meeting on the 5th, if we
well,
need to?
we do have a board meeting at 7:30. We could do an earlier one, or Vin could leave the, board meeting if we have to and come down, but
Oh,
I can't vote.
on the, would we be able to meet if need be at 6 o'clock on the 5th?
Yeah,
Okay. Only if need be,
I might not be able to.
if you would just make a note of that.
Sorry, everybody.
Hope everybody's there.
That might be. Needs to be Wednesday.
It's
Thursday.
No, I'm sorry. Our dean makes us all come in person and be there in one evening that first week. And yeah, hers is the Wednesday, so I'm good for Thursday.
All right, so only if we need to, we'll see how the estimates come in. The estimates come in as they did last time, and we're still in the black. We don't need to do anything. However, I think we're gonna run into the same issue now when we start talking about Norton School.
And this is just for the major things that need a vote. I mean, minor stuff that you guys are like, well, we can go A or B, and it doesn't matter to you. You'll do that. You don't need us for that.
Yeah, this is if,
So they're gonna try and dial it down.
yeah, if we end up doing this thing and we say, oh, we're $2 million over budget or whatever, we need to take a hard look at where we're gonna make that up. And we still have contingency money to play with for the North End. We had added money into the contingency.
All right, so I have 9/5 a tentative meeting, and 9/5 also delivering the cost estimate
Right,
with suggested BE if needed. And then 9/9 delivering the plans and the specs that you guys are gonna need to vote and approve on for
Right.
North End.
now those plans and specs also have to go to the Board of Ed, correct? So you just send them to Jeff, and Jeff, you forward them?
Yeah. We were just talking about making sure we post that meeting too, so
For
we
the
should.
5th?
So we should post it. We wanna post it as late as we can in case we change the agenda, cause once you post it, you can't change the agenda. But
Well,
we'll
it'll be an
confirm when we
emergency
should
meeting,
post that.
and you don't have to give,
When
is
you-
it 24 or 48 hours for?
We were just debating that, and if you, but if, once you post an emergency meeting, or once you post a special meeting, you can't change the agenda.
Right, it has to be
So,
specifically for those items.
We're gonna have to just double check, make sure what we wanna post is on there and get the timing down.
Yeah,
We'll
I'll
work
I'll
that
take
out.
care of that.
All right, so we're good with North End?
Yes,
Okay, moving on to Norton. So right on the heels of North End, we're gonna go through the same process with Norton. And this is where I have highlighted, Jeff, the 26th, which I don't see on your calendar.
Okay, so September 26th,
Yes,
You're looking
another
for
joint
board-
meeting.
board approval, joint meeting.
we had a meeting already, I don't think the Board of Ed was meeting that night.
Yeah, I have invite that went to the board in my calendar. I'll talk to Carol about making sure it gets on the website.
Yeah, I didn't see it on the website.
It's in my calendar and it's in the board's calendar. I sent it to these guys.
Oh, maybe
So,
it's a secret.
It's just not on the,
I have it on my calendar.
Oh, it's on
Is
mine
this
too.
something that you put in?
I sent one to the board.
No, yeah, I just put this in myself.
I mean, I can send it to everybody on this committee.
Well, it's, yeah, well, it's one of our regular meetings, so you don't need to send it to us. It's just making sure the Board of Ed is there.
Yeah.
Okay. And now we've got, moving on to the next page, which is, I
Wait.
believe, oh, go ahead,
Shall we just put a tentative meeting for the 19th then too?
for Norton is one you're probably gonna need.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have the same situation where we need to get the cost
Yeah.
estimates in, and we need to meet on the 19th to go through those cost estimates,
Yeah.
if there's an issue, and there very well might be for that one.
Yeah, that one.
And then you would get the plans to us on the 23rd.
So the 19th again, we're gonna have another board meeting.
So same thing,
Because if it's a Thursday, I have a meeting.
yeah, so it's 6 o'clock on the 19th?
Great.
And our documents will be dated the 20th. 100% documents will be dated September 20th. And I presume that the cost estimates will be updated to be either that date or the date after, the day after.
Yeah, we have to agree on whatever the date is.
Yeah.
Alright, so 9/23 is gonna be for Norton, is gonna be the due date for the plans and the specs.
Right, 9/23.
Okay. Alright, so I'll reflect this in the next update. Okay, so moving down to page 4,
Both those need to get posted.
we still got this OSTA thing hanging out there on North End. I do know that Benesh made a submission last week, so they're anticipating it 2 more weeks before we get this, this decision. And it ultimately will just, this is one of those things that's on the checklist for the PCR. The state will be looking for this to be done. We just won't be able to go out to bid, so this is still well enough ahead of our PCR meeting, so I'm not crying about it yet, but just keeping track of it. On the radar, we have the AHJ sign-offs for North End, and Rich, I know you've been reaching out to them. They know this is coming, right?
They do. They're waiting for Versteeg's comments and they will then check their drawings.
Yep, so everybody's getting queued up. And then the DOT review, encroachment permit is just one more regulatory review. It's not needed for, the PCR at all. Just making sure that that's getting done and over with, because we just don't want any changes after the fact on that. And then moving down to page 5, so now we're gonna be preparing our bid packages, our front end, that gets melded with the Tecton. What you guys all see now online for North End is Tecton's deliverable. We prepare a whole front end, that has the contract, the trade contract, assignment of work, the construction's milestone schedule. All of that is gonna be melded in, so the next time you see the deliverable for each project, it will have our front end in it. So that's why you'll get the North End first and then North End second. And then, down to the last page, which is page 6, was just basically what Mark had already reported on, was just the phase 1 items. And that we're anticipating, starting that settlement platform work next week. And the idea, we were trying to get done for Norton by the end of, next week, but it may bleed in a couple days into the following week. And that's just it may not, but it might. We were gonna try to get done by the 16th, because you guys are coming back to school on the 26th, right? We had a week fluff.
Yeah, we have, convocation that day, which is, our
26th.
staff is all in the building. Yeah.
Okay, well, we're still
The
gonna,
students start that Thursday, but.
okay. So we should be well done by the time school starts.
So just, is there a desire, just understanding that there are a lot of people that are reviewing, a lot of parties that are reviewing different pieces of this. As Laurel mentioned, the 100% documents are complete when we pick up all the comments and incorporate ONG's front end and bid packages. Up to that point, this committee will not see that portion of the front end or the bid packages. Is there a need to review those by the NGSBC? It's not technically required from a, technical review with our AHJs, but I guess just the first time you're going to see that is when the documents are 100%. So just,
And there's plenty of time to make comment and revise it, because I'll be changing them all the way through till we go out to bid, and even while we're going out to bid, so. I basically do assignment of the work, so all the technical specs, everything that's on the drawings, I gotta make sure that a contractor owns that. So it's basically carving up pieces with who owns what, this and that.
And OGA is probably gonna wanna have their comments as well, so.
Right.
And I don't have an issue with what you're
Sounds
asking.
like people
Yeah.
feel
I mean,
fine.
because there's flexibility after the fact.
Okay,
That's it for schedule.
it's tight,
That was a mouthful.
it's tight, yeah. Doing two schools at one time, this is where you start to feel it.
That question. Where's the culvert at, design of that?
I don't know where it is. I don't
I'll
know.
find out tomorrow and get something out to you guys.
I know people
I met the
want,
culvert today and
and I know
didn't get a chance to-
people wanted to get access to AConnect, and I don't know if you guys were ever given that permission yet. Somebody want permission to look on the project management? Did that happen yet? No, okay. So I'm gonna bug our project manager, he's on vacation.
Are we tracking the ETA on the early order items?
We're in the process of doing that, okay?
So I'll make it up on a sheet at some point.
I'm just gonna be.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you very much. Rich, budget?
Yeah, so, not a lot has changed, we haven't encumbered anything since our last meeting, but I will just give you an update on where the encumbrances stand. So on the last two pages of the invoice package, there are the budget sheets. First one is in blue is the new North End School, and the amount that's been encumbered to date is 11% of the total of the project. So we've encumbered approximately $7 million on an $89.9 million project. That's roughly 11%. Rich, you had mentioned the contingencies, where we stand. Right now, on the new North End Elementary School, we have a contingency that reflects 8.6% of the cost of construction, or the construction budget. So, yeah, we have a pretty healthy contingency on the north end, which is not where we really need it.
I'd like to come back, when we were talking about the Norton estimate last time, there was a discussion about how large a contingency you can carry and get reimbursement, or whatever, I forget. You know, we moved some of the contingency to cover the north end shortage, or not north end, north end shortage.
Yeah.
What is that percentage and what impact does that have on what we have here?
5%.
It's 5%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Total project
Total
cost.
project
All
cost.
right, so if we're carrying 8.6%, does that mean we need to be moving some of that money?
It's not.
It's not on there. Sorry, Joe.
You can spend it, but you won't get reimbursed half of anything that's above 5%. You can still spend it, but you're not gonna get any state reimbursement of whatever's over that.
Okay. What is the contingency that we're carrying right now for Norton?
So Norton, and it's not on the total project cost, but what we have in contingency is $4,076,000. And that is, that's roughly 6.3% of the cost of construction, or at least the budgeted amount.
So if we find that our estimates come in a little high, we still have some flexibility
We
to
do have
move money
flexibility.
from contingency
That is correct.
into construction.
Yes.
We also had talked way back when about the possibility, if need be, of transferring some of the money from the North End project into the Norton project.
Because
And we were
you-
told that we could get one bite of the apple to do that.
Yeah, because as you had indicated, the overall budget for the two projects was voted on in a lump sum. It wasn't voted on individually per project. But when you went into when you went to OGA with your grant application, you did have specific budgets. So, you know, there's talk in our office. Emily doesn't think that you can just do that. You can make the move because OGA frowns it on.
Yeah, I don't think you can, because each was authorized
Right.
separately
That's
by
correct.
the legislature.
Yeah, you would have to go through special legislation to make that change.
I'm
Oh,
pretty sure
okay.
that's true.
Yeah.
Because Jack had originally indicated that
That's
that
what I was
a
saying, so there
possibility.
was a little bit of a difference. Jack thought that you could do that. Emily is basically saying, no, that is not the case, you know, because they were acted on individually, and so therefore you would have to do special legislation to make those changes.
That's
Which,
unfortunate, we could end up with excess money in one project and short in the other.
but you could do a special legislation to get it done.
Wouldn't that hold up the whole project?
No, it just
Yeah.
holds up your reimbursement of that extra.
Yeah, it does,
Oh.
right.
But this is only on money that we expect to get reimbursed on, so if we're at, say, 6% contingency, that extra 1%, we can move it all around, because we're not getting reimbursed on that anyway, right?
That's correct.
Well, we'll face that when we have to. I
Right.
think
Yeah.
Throwing
Yeah.
out contingencies, that's all.
Maybe everything will be under budget and we'll have extra money.
Well, that would be nice. I mean, we did make changes after design development. Theoretically,
Be
we should
helpful.
be right in line.
Hopeful.
The eternal optimist.
Somebody's gotta do it.
Yeah, we need one.
Just one though.
Open item log?
Okay, so on the open item log, we received comments this morning on the pending items, and those have been inserted into the open item log. We have recommended those get moved to closed, which would then address all of the items that were pending or open.
Objection.
Okay, there's one that I know, Dennis, that you're, well, there's probably more than one, but I know one of your comments was regarding specifically the hardware set for the bi-acting door. We have updated that, it's not reflected in the 90% set that you have.
So it
So-
stays as pending.
Okay, that's fine.
Which one is that? What number?
That is item 69.
69.
69?
Same thing with 74.
Yeah.
Moving the tree 1 inch outside of the right of way isn't gonna do any good to the roots when they get cut off by an excavator.
Any other comments on the open item log? So we'll leave those two as pending,
Sure.
and the rest of them are closed.
If I can add also, Vin and I had a conversation this afternoon regarding CLA and their contract. So after the last meeting, I asked Sean, you know, what the status of that was, and he said that he was waiting for feedback from CLA, or at least get their contract, because it had been approved by the town council. I reached out to Mike DePrima and mentioned that to him, that he needed to send a contract back to the town, and it would be signed and we can execute. I know that Vin has had some communications with them since I had a conversation with CLA, and we're still waiting for it, so I'd like to put that on the open items log so I can track it. And also, while I had been on the phone, we were talking about the builder's risk policy, which, you know, right now, it's not needed because we're not really putting any buildings in place, but we want to be able to have that policy ready for when they do break ground in December. So that's something that I can certainly track and keep open until that policy gets executed.
We have a budget for it, for the builder's risk policy. I reached out to our insurance broker so they get the ball rolling on it and start getting some quotes. And then with CLA, I heard from Mike Prima last Friday, and he was gonna draft up the contract and send it to Sean, so Sean and I talked, he hasn't gotten it yet, but we'll give him a couple more days.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So I'll put it on open items and we can track it.
All right, thank you.
Yes, there is.
No comment on item 55, just a minor thing, but it looks like it's in the specification for 26. Is that, I don't know what those other ones are, is that the concrete spec? So I guess what I'm saying is the concrete pour happens long before the electrician gets on board, so even though it's on the electrician's hot item, it should also be on the concrete contractor's item to coordinate with the electrical contractor for that before the pour.
55, you're saying?
55, yeah.
Yes, sir. So you gotta bond the rebar to the ground, but typically, when they're putting rebar in, you're not talking to an electrical contractor. He's not even on site at that point, so. Just suggesting that somewhere in the site contractor's contract, there's something that says you need to coordinate with the electrical for grounding before you bore.
So are you gonna pick that up on your bid package, or are we gonna show it on our drawings?
I could, but it'll be for the concrete contractor, right?
Yes, the concrete contractor, before he pours, need to coordinate with the electrical contractor for grounding.
You might have a site, you might have electrical on site doing, you know,
Yeah, sleeves and,
yeah.
conduit sleeves and.
I get your point though, yeah.
But the thing is, the concrete guy isn't gonna think to talk with him, and the electrical guy who's doing something else,
Yeah.
it's not something that's, it's right in front of you, but it's not on the front of your brain that, oh, I have to do
No,
this.
I get it.
So that's why I'm suggesting we put something in the site contract to say, when you get to this point, make sure you let them know.
So are you guys gonna pick it up in your bid packages to make sure that they talk to
You
me?
can, yes, if you don't want to put a note on the structurals, yes.
We'll do both.
Yeah,
We'll do both.
Both is good. Yeah,
Shouldn't be on the
Let's just-
sidewalk, should be on the side,
On the site,
well, I
yeah,
thought it was, you had to tie it in with the concrete.
the sidewalk green.
foundation.
Yeah, that's a concrete contractor.
There are typical details for grounding and bonding in the civil drawings. So I think what your,
Okay.
your comment is probably Division 3 cast in place, concrete as well, right?
Yeah, whichever.
Alright, we'll close this.
We'll talk
See
about,
if we-
let's look at the detail, and
Yeah.
I just make, you know, if it's on the site drawing, then it's in the site package.
Yeah. It's just something that if it happens,
get you.
it's very difficult to to go backwards, so. And it's very easy to catch
But
with
it's
a note.
not impossible.
It's just one note, you know?
It's probably been done that way.
I say, it's just one note, on a plan to coordinate, just to make sure both are talking.
Okay, architects.
Okay, fairly brief update beyond everything that we've discussed this evening. As we have been working on the delivery of the 90% construction documents for Norton. A couple things that we want to address in your packet is a sole source request letter for both the North End and Norton. These things ultimately get on district letterhead and signed by the superintendent. So we're providing this as just information, and I don't know if it requires endorsement by the NGSBC, but typically for every project, there are a host of specifications or products where we will request a sole source specification. Public bidding laws require you to provide either a basis of design and leave open, basically a performance spec of providing other vendors per the basis of design, or 3 vendors. So we will commonly provide 3 vendors for every single product that's in a project, with the exception of ones that we know require sole source, which are commonly things that are already part of operations and logistics for the district. So the things that we have listed, the first 3 are no-brainers: door hardware, access control software and database management, and access control system hardware. The first for the door hardware is your specific key system for the district, as well as your specific operating trim mortise lockdown procedure in classrooms. That's what's in the door hardware. Otherwise, there's a list. Rich Clavette has provided a very comprehensive list of all the other equipment and acceptable alternate manufacturers for things like closers, hinges, door stops. But we know the district wants the specific lockdown mechanism for the doors and the specific access control software and management. So those are typically no-brainers to request a sole source. The one that we have also listed on here is the digital addressable fire alarm system. And I put this in quote, parentheses, to be confirmed, because we know that, our owner's project requirements, says notifier, for fire alarm system, no exceptions. When we started talking about, automated building controls, say for HVAC, I cannot find in the notes or the history of the project, whether or not we discussed at the committee level to have an open specification for fire alarm in order to get some competition into, the projects. Both Jeff and I seem to recall having a conversation where maybe we should open it up to multiple, fire alarm vendors. However, right now, the specification is written as though it were a sole source.
Yeah, it was a VE item.
No, the VE item was the, building controls,
It was fire alarm
BMS.
too.
Is that,
Then did the
is that a
school,
closed, Rich, that isn't by any chance a closed item on here? Because I thought I brought that up as a question, as to whether we wanted to sole source fire alarm or not.
Well, let me put it this way, the world is your oyster right now. We can make this decision and either sole source, the fire alarm system, or provide a competitive, bid. You can provide a competitive bid and still request a sole source from the state in case you wanted to identify, Notifier. Notifier is in all of your current schools.
We
and-
we're just finished upgrading Dodd, you
Right.
know, and that's what just went in, and we're specking out, I think it's Doolittle, right now too, so.
Or notifier as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
so
I mean,
does
it
the
would
school
seem like
system
a
have a
sole
strong,
source.
strong feeling about this?
Wouldn't we
Yeah,
wanna
I mean, we would
maintain
like to
the same
continue
system
on
across the
Notifier, but, you know, if there's a compelling reason to come off of that, we could talk about it.
The reason why we're asking the question is that I know in all of our conversations and all of our coordination with the district and facilities, we have discussed it being a sole source. I cannot find in my notes, Jeff's notes, any of our meeting minutes, about the discussion being, an open bid for fire alarm, but there's something that.
We did in Norton.
I think I asked
We did it in Norton, we accepted it at Norton. Because we must not have had the issue for North End, because we didn't have an issue, budget issue. But it is in the VE log as accepted for Norton.
What does it say?
Norton.
What was
As
accepted?
open bid.
It says
Allow
allow
alternate.
alternate fire alarm manufacturer vendor for total of 3 specified vendors, assumed value. And it was accepted at Norton.
And what did they say we would save based?
It's only 35 grand, but still.
So is that what we're talking about, or 35,000 per building?
No,
Likely.
only for Norton though.
Norton.
So, just if I can question about the semantics of this. Because that says manufactured vendor, so the intent, the way I understand it, is that it needs to be able to be competitively bid through 3 bidders. Are there more than 3 vendor/installers of Notifier that could competitively bid on the same system? Is that allowable?
I think the spirit of the sole source
No.
request is the actual product.
Yeah.
Because we've tried this with access control on other projects, like, yeah, there are half a dozen integrators, why can't we just competitively bid the integration of the specific system? So,
Thought I'd ask,
Yeah,
because
it's a
I
good
didn't
question.
hear the
Yeah.
word vendor, so I wanted
Yeah.
to make sure that's not.
You can build or bid Notifier as a, basis of design product,
Yeah.
and then have 2 vendors and as alternates or alternates, so that you're getting pricing on other systems. So on bid day, you could look at those numbers and then decide whether you truly want Notifier and pick that number.
Or just have them exclude it from their base bid and price all 3. Just list 3 numbers, and you get to see which 3. So everybody's bidding
Right.
it.
But I have a question for you though, if we've already voted on it as a VE for Norton, is the world really still our oyster at
Well, this is for
Norton?
well, let me put it this way, you can make, we're at the point where, because we're gonna enter into another conversation that's not on this list about, BMS. So, at this point, the committee and the district has all the options available to you. It's very simple to add an additional list of manufacturers and a specification prior to going to bid in 2 months or a month and a half. But we just want to make the risk for these type of things, both fire alarm and building management systems, is that when you're opening it up, you can have one low bidder on one project and another low bidder on another project. And you could have different manufacturers or different vendors that are outside what's already installed in the district. I can tell you historically, things like fire alarm and building management systems are commonly no-brainer approvals for sole source because it's recognized by the state that we don't want to train on another host. There's an inefficiency to operationally to carry additional attic stock and additional training for different types of systems
And the
or
life
different
safety-
service
You're
contracts.
talking life safety systems,
Yeah.
so they would get approved pretty easily.
Yeah.
But the question comes back to, what will be 35 grand at Norton?
So that's typically, I mean, these are the type of things where if you have a sole source, especially for fire alarm, not casting any aspersions to folks that are, will be providing bids for notifier. When you have a sole source, commonly those numbers that you're getting with no competition are gonna be higher.
Right.
So, and I think that was the spirit of the Norton Value Management System. It was the spirit of the discussion of the building management system as well. So I guess the building management system, Mr. Chair, I think we would also like to have, I'm gonna get to that in a second, but perhaps it may be a discussion with the town council, town solicitor, as well about what's acceptable to provide for a bid.
Who's the town solicitor?
Or
Jeff
your attorney,
D'Onofrio.
Mr. D'Onofrio.
Oh,
So
okay.
you don't call me your solicitor? Okay, okay, yeah.
Barrister?
I was trying to think of that.
I call the lawyers that work for me in my building committee the solicitor, so, yeah. So it's, I think there is the overwhelming desire to have Notifier be the product that is the fire alarm system for both schools. I just think we need to collectively arrive at the yes.
Look at the peanut gallery.
Yeah.
The
We're
crowd
asking
really
the-
came alive for that one.
We're asking the question because at this point, I think there's some competition between what the NGSBC has directed us to provide in the documents on Norton and what we know that the district wants and needs from the fire alarm system. So I think being open about how we approach this and, getting what we want and what everybody's pleased with in the specification is
Well, I
what's open for
appreciate
discussion.
you bringing it back to the group. I think that's important. What are thoughts around the table?
I think you know where I stand. I wanna go to work tomorrow.
I mean, as,
Oh, no, please.
I mean, as an administrator at a school building, I would like to support having a single system across everything, and I know that might be more expensive. I don't want us to be in a situation where then we do have to accept this one school being a different system. That would make me so sad for everybody working in the schools.
We'll make the motion.
So, well,
But we've already done it for Norton, so now
Well, we haven't done it yet for
No,
Norton.
well, but the motion for Norton was not to have,
to not have it.
Not
was to
Open
put
it
it out
up.
to
open
bid.
it up, right.
So what you're saying is you would like to have a sole source for the system to match what we have in the other buildings.
For both schools.
Yeah,
For both
because
buildings.
when I'm looking at the amount of money that it is for the whole project, to like have this, it would be a disaster to have a separate fire system.
It was
Eli's
estimated that it
foolish.
could cost an additional $35,000,
At Norton.
At Norton.
North End would be more.
a little bit more probably, because it's a bigger building, so
But that's already in the.
45 maybe.
So I have a question, I guess, I wanna ask this to Ben, but it's a system that I'm just curious how much we actually touch. And, you know, we're not talking about going from Notifier, which is a great system, to some used eBay system, you know, it's gonna be Notifier or Siemens or one of the other
It's either
top-
open source or.
It's gonna be one of the top tier, top quality fire alarm systems. And I'm just wondering, you know, how much do we touch it to where, I mean, it's nice that everything's the same, but also, you know, in 5 years when we build New Highland, are we gonna, is that always gonna have Notifier, or is it, or whatever, you know, I'm just saying, there's gonna be other projects in town, and I'm just curious what the actual benefit is, if we're not touching it very much, and I don't even know if we program it, if we even have the licenses to program Notifier, so, I mean, what is the real benefit to having it after,
Well-
do we touch it much?
We do. I mean, the existing systems, we have internal maintenance staff that are, in the case of fire, low voltage, licensed. So we're doing most of the repairs in the building. So if we have to swap out a smoke or other detector, we're doing that. It does require sometimes programming at the panel. You know, the other related, when we're talking about fire, is our fire department also is involved with all the systems, obviously. They're running the test for us, they're making sure that, you know, the systems are operational. So there is a benefit to having the same systems, not only in the two new schools, but in the buildings where we're currently in the process of upgrading. Same philosophy holds true for building management system. For the door access controls, we do most of that work in-house. Now, obviously, when you're installing new, hopefully you don't have to touch them much during the, you know, first decade. But that is the advantage, and Justin already mentioned the training that goes along with not only servicing, but actually using the system.
Parts.
So,
Yeah. But just workforce management
So,
is.
you know, I mean, I'm a proponent of having it the same, I just wanted to make sure there was
Yeah.
a real reason, and it's not like something that's, you know, a brick that you never touch, you know,
Yeah.
it just does something. I'm almost inclined, and I don't know if this is foolish, but wait and see where we are with the budget, and if we thought it was $35,000, you know, we make our votes based on the information at hand. I don't think they're locked in throughout the end of time, that if you get new information, so if we have new information that our budget is at a point where the contingency can withstand another $35,000 going towards the fire alarm, that we vote to change that VE item and go to contingency, or, you know, just put it to the table to see if we wanna do that.
What's the timing on the letter?
So that, thank you for bringing that up, because the one thing that I do want to mention is, the part of, the reason why we're bringing this up now, is there is a review process, with the state and the Office of Grants Administration, where, once we send this, we wanna make sure that we have our approval for sole source by the time, we get our PCR approval. So there is technically a sole source review committee at OGA. Frankly, candidly, it consists of one person, and it depends on when that person can review it. And it's sometimes takes a few weeks to a month to review. So if we're going to make any type of sole source request, we should make it within the next
And
week
we
or
can
2
always
weeks.
request and then
And
rescind,
rescind, yeah.
but like we
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
at the 11th hour make a request.
Well, it's more
and then,
difficult
yeah,
to, it's,
without a lot of aggravation.
you
So
can do it.
we're better off
Yeah,
asking for it and not needing it.
yes,
than-
correct.
So how do you go about that with your going out to bid? Do you just say, this is what you provide a bid on Notifier, provide an alternate for this vendor and an alternate, so you get all three prices?
I
In
think.
case it does get rejected, or it's too late, or we don't wanna,
Well, I think by the time we're actually going out to bid, we'll have more information up to your concern about where we are
What
in
the
the budget,
budget looks like.
et cetera. So, what I'm saying is that we wanna submit our sole source request, prior to, we're gonna be reviewing costs in 3 weeks. We wanna submit that sole source request before we have that cost information, just to allow enough time, for our friends at OGA to review.
But if you get the sole source approval, it doesn't mean you have to do
doesn't mean you
Right,
have to.
it sounds like a no-brainer, like
And, yeah,
it's just protecting ourselves, or providing the alternate option,
Gives you an option.
yeah.
love it.
We have a motion?
Vinnie,
Yeah. Oh, go
Dennis?
ahead.
I'll move
Okay, what are you moving?
to make it a sole source.
Make notifier.
Make notifier the
And-
sole source.
and
For both
building
schools?
management,
For,
Well,
yeah,
let's get through this and then.
I think the motion is to submit the request for sole source
Yeah.
for the items listed and BMS. Did we also want to include
For both North End and.
you wanted to wait on BMS?
There's a specific
wrinkle
thing
there.
that I wanna address
Okay.
with
We
this.
have-
this
we
is
have-
just for the fire
Yeah,
system.
we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second? Any further discussion?
Shouldn't we do it for
Doesn't it
each school
include all of
individually?
If you'd like.
It's not if I like, I think we have to do that, they're separate projects, right? We
Yeah,
do
probably.
everything individually by school.
Yeah,
So,
these are
so
fine.
while your guys are discussing the motion, Sean brought up a good point. If the NGSBC is putting it within your, motions to approve all of the sole source requests, it should reflect the 4 items that we've listed on, as part of our request letter, which is door hardware, access control, software and database management, access control system hardware.
And Chuck's question is one for each building, we're
Yeah.
gonna make them,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
So,
So do
Vinnie
you want
has a
to
question.
amend your, motion?
Vinnie also has a
But-
question.
Take that motion, Rich, if I can have a minute. I know we didn't, I don't think we talked about it, but what about the Wi-Fi system, Aruba? Does that,
That can be later
That
on
can wait.
down the line, because we're gonna be purchasing that in
there was
18 months,
Got it.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And I had one other, this was, I think we talked about it and said we would go open, but since we're bringing things up again, the lighting control system that we have at the schools, that's, I forget what it's called, but,
Unlighted, yeah.
yeah, did we want that sole source, or is that not a concern?
I think we're a little bit more open-minded on that one, just because it is a bit of a one-off, and I would just wanna make sure that, we can get the, the equipment still.
Yeah.
okay.
All right,
I'm
so
going
what
to
is
amend
yours?
my
Amend
motion.
the motion, okay.
So, I'm gonna move for North End Elementary School project, to, make a sole source request for door hardware, access control software and database management, access control system hardware, and digital addressable fire alarm system.
Second? Discussion? All those in favor? Okay, you have another motion?
Oh, I do, just let me make the page, oh no, they're the same for both
It's the
schools.
same thing.
I'm gonna move for the Norton, Elementary School to make a sole source request for door hardware, access control software and database management, access control system hardware, and digital accessible fire alarm system.
Addressable.
Second?
Addressable, thank you.
Address it. Second, Dennis? Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Okay, Justin, you have your response.
Okay, thank you. One additional thing that's not listed on the sole source, because I think we're looking for some guidance on how the town wants to address building management systems. So, the building controls, that are part of your mechanical systems, et cetera, were moved by the NGSBC back during value management discussions to be competitively bid, to be an open spec. In conversations with that, currently in the specification, that open spec consists of 2 manufacturers, which is Distech and Automated Logic Controls. Those are both controls companies that are involved in the existing school system. There's mostly Distech, and there is a portion or select buildings have controls by Automated Logic Controls. That was from conversations with facilities and conversations with the owner's project requirements. That does not technically meet the 3 vendor criteria. However, I'm not sure that there's a third one that out there that's acceptable to the district. So, I guess our question is, because this was brought up as a potential, we're gonna save money by making it competitively bid, right? And it was not insignificant, it was
No,
not.
it was like 150 grand
Yeah.
on one of them.
So, and I think this may be where Mr. D'Onofrio may be able to weigh in for what we're allowed to provide in a specification where we only have really two preferred manufacturers.
Justin, can we do that as a performance spec without naming anyone?
We could, but that opens there's a risk associated with that, that you may have a controls company that the district doesn't want, so.
Depends how the spec is written.
There still has to be three that can meet the spec.
No, not necessarily if you don't name anyone.
It still has to be, it can't be something that there's only one company in the world that does it, then it's not,
Depends how you write it.
depends who reads it.
Sounds like we need a lawyer.
It's best to name three. That's,
No, right,
you know,
agree.
I mean, we have so many
competitive numbers.
systems are disparate already. You know, the most recent installs were 9 years ago.
Yeah.
So it might be, just, you know, I need to get Rich involved in the discussion some more.
Do you want, I mean,
Maybe we could talk about it.
yeah,
Justin.
yeah.
Are you
That may
moving
be-
towards a particular vendor, or
Oh,
you've just
I
had?
think so, I mean, I don't know,
different ones that
backnet
just-
compliant is pretty standard these days, but what the front end looks like, and I don't know, I need to call in my expert on this one.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't wanna go make a final determination tonight, I can't make a recommendation to the committee.
so, and that's why I specifically, I assume that this had some follow-up conversation, that's why it's not listed on the backup that we've provided. The key is to make sure that they're all Niagara-based control systems, so that they communicate with each other and the rest of the town. So I don't think that we necessarily need a motion here. I'm just alerting you to the fact that we have two in the current spec, which we need to get either a third, or we need to make a decision about sole source. So, which defeats the purpose of the value management system.
There's only two that they identified that we currently have that, like, the schools prefer, but there is a third out there that they.
Oh, yes,
That
yeah.
could do everything that it needs to do.
Sure, yes.
And if we selected one as a basis of design,
Yeah, right now the Distech is the basis of design. So I guess I'm just,
Well, this sounds different though than the whole
the intent,
system that you have from the fire system.
right,
Yeah.
That sounds like something that you're putting in regularly. This other building system, you're saying hasn't been done in 9 years? Anywhere else?
that was the last, you know, last time we did it, and the world's changed a lot in that space in
Yeah.
10 years, so it may be okay.
okay. So
So it sounds like we're not making any decision, you're gonna bring this back to us at a,
So we will maintain the original intent of the NGSBC, which is to make a competitive bid for the building controls. We will circle back with Vin and his team and Mr. Clavette to make sure that we're not putting a third in there that is objectionable, and we'll have that discussion. So, and we'll report back at the next meeting.
so the likelihood is that you will look for a third
We'll provide a third.
that
Yeah,
that
okay.
you'll put in there.
Okay, so,
All right, you'll bring that back to us at the next meeting.
yes, Jeff will bring it back at the next meeting. I will not be here at the next meeting. My apologies, so,
Thanks.
I didn't groan for the record.
yeah. And the only other thing that, since I've been speaking, the team has issued the Norton, project manuals and drawings, so
I saw
those
that.
will be in everybody's inbox. Otherwise, we're moving along.
All right, very good. Anything else for the good of the order? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So
Wait,
second.
hold on one second, did we end up voting on your motion?
No, I just moved it.
You moved it, but did we end up voting on those? No, we moved them, but we didn't vote?
We did the north end, I don't think we did Norton.
We didn't do the Norton,
We
okay.
had the discussion and
I
then
think
just.
I interrupted, I apologize.
I think so, yeah, I think so, it just occurred to me, so.
This is my crowning motion.
I'll make a motion, or
Well, we had the
I'll
motion on the
second
floor
the motion.
already, and it
Oh,
was
it's
seconded
seconded.
already,
So, in
but I don't
favor.
think we ever actually took the vote, so this is for Norton School
perpetually
and
keep
for the 4 items that were on there. Okay, all those in favor?
Losing feeling.
All right.
And here.
Now, I will take a motion to adjourn.
It's already on the table.
And a second?
I'll second that.
There you go. All those in favor? All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.